The space station floated in the dark sky like a dying star. Inside, the air smelled of metal, oil, and forgotten pain. This was not a place of hope. This was a place where lives were sold. Loud voices filled the auction hall. Aliens shouted prices, waving their credits in the air. Cages lined the walls, some with beasts, some with slaves. Each cage had a number, a name, a price. But in the far corner, there was one cage that no one looked at. It was old, rusted, and dirty. Inside sat a girl, curled into herself, silent. And still, her skin was pale blue, her long hair silver like moonlight. Her name was Sira. But no one here cared about names. To them, she was just another alien girl, weak, silent, useless. A sign hung on her cage. Broken goods, no power, no value. People passed by and laughed. Look at that one. Can she even walk? She's not worth a drink. Maybe she's already dead. Sira didn't move, but her silver eyes were open, watching, waiting. Inside her chest, her heart still beat, not with hope, but with something colder, survival. She had been here. For months, maybe more, time had stopped mattering. She had been taken from her planet. Betrayed by her own people, sold like trash. Suddenly, the room fell silent. Footsteps echoed, slow, heavy, confident. A man entered, not like the others. He was human. His name was Raiden. He wore a long coat, dusty from space travel. His eyes were sharp, his face unreadable. A scar ran across his cheek. But it didn't make him look weak. It made him look dangerous. He didn't look at the strong slaves or the beasts in big cages. He walked straight to the corner, straight to Sira. The auctioneer laughed. "You don't want that one human," he said. "She's broken. Doesn't even speak, useless." Raiden didn't answer. He just stared at Sira. She stared back, eyes like silver glass. A strange moment passed between them, quiet and electric. Then, Raiden reached into his pocket. He pulled out 10 credits. The crowd burst into laughter. "That's what she's worth. I've seen trash more expensive." Raiden dropped the credits. "I'll take her," he said. The auctioneer shrugged. "Your loss, human." He pressed a button, and the cage door opened with a screech. For a moment, Sira didn't move. Was this a trick? Another test? But something in Raiden's eyes told her it wasn't, so she stood up, slowly, legs shaking. She walked out of the cage for the first time in months. Raiden didn't grab her, didn't chain her. He simply nodded. "Come on," he said. Sira followed, confused. Why did this human buy her? What did he want? Her hands trembled, ready to run. They walked through the crowd. Whispers followed them like shadows. But Raiden didn't care. He walked with calm steps, as if he had done this 1,000 times. As they reached the docking bay, he finally spoke. "Again, you're not trash," he said. "You're just hidden." Sira looked at him, unsure if he was lying or mad. Then something strange happened. Her chest felt warm. Her eyes glowed faintly. Just for a second, Raiden saw it, and he smiled slightly. Far above, in a dark room on another ship, a red light blinked on a screen. Signal detected. Someone far away opened their eyes. "She's alive," a voice whispered. The hunt had begun, and Sira, the girl sold like trash, had just taken her first step toward something greater. She just didn't know it yet. The hallway to the ship was dark and cold. Sira followed Raiden in silence. Her bare feet touched the metal floor. Each step sharp and unfamiliar. This was not freedom, not yet. She had been a prisoner for so long that even the open hallway felt like a trick. Maybe this was just a different cage. Maybe this human would turn cruel once the doors closed. She had seen it happen before. Raiden didn't speak. He walked ahead like a soldier who had walked too many empty roads. Sira stared at the back of his coat, brown, torn, and marked with a patch, a symbol she didn't recognize. They reached the dock, where a ship waited like a sleeping beast. It wasn't beautiful. The body was scratched, the paint faded, engines humming low. But to Sira, it was the first thing that didn't smell like death. The door opened with a hiss. Warm air blew out. smelling like real food and metal oil. Raiden looked back at her, his voice low but firm. "This is the Nomad Hawk, it doesn't bite." Sierra stepped inside, her eyes wide. The ship's inside was small but full of life. Wires ran along the walls, screens blinked, tools scattered over a metal table. A small cooking station stood in the corner, next to a padded bench. She looked around slowly. This place had stories, not like her cage. This ship had been alive, moving, surviving, just like her. Raiden walked to the control chair and dropped into it. He pressed a few buttons, and the ship hummed louder. Engines warmed up, doors locked, lights adjusted. He didn't look at her, not yet. "You hungry?" he asked finally. Sierra hesitated, then nodded. She hadn't spoken a word since she left the cage. Raiden walked to the corner and pulled a packet from a food drawer. He threw it in a warmer and handed it to her. It was hot, plain, and soft, but it was food, real food. Sierra ate in silence, her hands shaking. She didn't look at him, but she listened. Every move, every click of his fingers on the control panel. She was still waiting for the trap. But it never came. Raiden just sat, piloting the ship through space like it was just another day. No orders, no chains, no cruel laugh, just silence. And the sound of stars passing by. Hours passed, or maybe just minutes. Time was strange now. Sierra curled up on the bench, her eyes closing slowly. But before sleep could take her, the ship's alarm buzzed once. Raiden's body stiffened. He pressed a button, and a small red light flashed on the screen. "Tracking ping," he muttered. He looked at Sierra, now sitting up alert. "Did anyone implant you?" he asked. Sierra blinked, confused. He walked toward her and gently waved his scanner near her neck. A sharp beep sounded. "Damn," he whispered. "Tracker behind the ear." He walked to a drawer, pulled out a small device, a surgical tool. "It's small, but it's sending a signal." Sierra pulled away, fear rising in her throat. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said, voice calm but serious. "But if I don't remove this, bad people will find us fast." She stared at him for a long second, then nodded, slowly. Raiden worked carefully, hands steady. The tool buzzed and clicked, and within seconds, he held up a tiny metal chip. It pulsed with red light. Then, with a quick crush of his boot, it was gone. But the damage was done. They already got the last signal, Raiden said. "They'll be coming." Sierra looked down at her hands. What was she? Why was she hunted? Raiden saw the questions in her eyes. "You don't remember, do you?" She shook her head. "Pieces," she said softly. Her first word. Raiden blinked in surprise. Her voice was like wind in the mountains, quiet but sharp. "Good," he said. "That means you still have something inside." Suddenly the ship shook. An alarm blared louder this time. "Proximity alert," Raiden growled. He ran to the controls, and the screen showed a small fighter ship approaching fast. "Too small for cargo," he muttered. "Too fast for trade." He turned to Sierra. "Get in the back room now." Sierra ran toward the door, but then stopped. Her body froze as something passed through her mind. A flash of fire, a metal face. Screaming voices, then light. It burst out of her hands. A glow so bright the room turned white for a second. Raiden stared, eyes wide. The enemy ship outside suddenly exploded in flames without even firing. Sierra collapsed, breathing hard, her fingers still glowing faintly. What was that? Raiden whispered, but Sierra didn't know. Her powers were waking, and now the galaxy would notice. Far away, in a dark control room, a man watched a screen. He smiled slowly. "There she is," he said. "The last of the lost blood, Sierra." Once sold like trash was now something else. Something powerful, something dangerous, and she was only just beginning. The ship floated quietly in space. Darkness surrounded it, endless and cold. But inside, something was changing, something no scanner could fully read. Sierra lay on a small bed inside the back room. Her hands still burned from the power she had. Released, she didn't understand it. She had felt fear, then light, then silence. Now, she was scared of herself. She stared at her hands, as if they belonged to someone else. Who am I? She whispered, but no one answered. Raiden stood outside the room, watching the screen again and again. The replay of the explosion was clear. The enemy ship never fired. It just cracked apart mid-air, bursting into flame. Raiden had seen powerful weapons, deadly lasers, energy bombs, but nothing like this. Nothing that came from a girl's bare hands. Something wasn't right, and yet it felt right. Later, he walked into the room. Sira didn't move. She just looked at him with wide eyes. Quiet, alert. He sat on a crate nearby, holding a small round scanner. I ran a test, he said calmly. You're not like the others. Sira didn't respond. He continued. Your blood has markers, ancient ones, locked behind codes. You mean I'm sick? She asked. Raiden shook his head. No, not sick, he said. Rare. Extinct, even. He showed her a screen. It displayed a DNA strand, glowing lines dancing across it. These patterns don't belong to any modern species, he said. This is pre-Union DNA. Sira blinked, confused. What does that mean? Raiden leaned closer, voice lower. It means you're part of a lost race. One that disappeared thousands of years ago. One that the galaxy tried to erase. Sira felt her chest tighten. She had always known she was different. But this was bigger, stranger. There's more. Raiden said, tapping another button. The screen shifted. Now it showed an old file, barely readable. Project Echo, classified. Raiden explained slowly. Long ago, the Union of Systems feared a race, the Ellerin. They weren't powerful because of weapons. They were powerful because of their minds. They could connect to energy itself. Sira's eyes widened. You think I'm one of them? Raiden nodded. I don't think I know. But why was I sold? She asked. Why didn't anyone tell me this? Raiden looked away. Because, he said, the galaxy hates what it doesn't control. You weren't just sold. You were hidden. Sira stood up, pacing. Flashes of memories hit her. A temple burning, voices crying, her hands glowing. Then darkness. She remembered falling into a pod. Metal closing around her, then silence. I was put to sleep, she said slowly. Raiden nodded. They found you, maybe by mistake. They didn't know what you were, just that you were strange. That's why they called me broken. She whispered. Raiden stood, serious now. And that's why others are hunting you. You're not just rare, you're dangerous to them. Sira clenched her fists. I don't want to be dangerous, Raiden replied. Then you better learn control, before someone else tries to control you. A sudden beep cut the silence. Raiden rushed to the cockpit. Sira followed, her heart pounding. The screen flashed a new alert. A bounty notice. Live, spreading across multiple systems. Her face was there. Her name, unknown. Reward, 3 million credits. Sira gasped. Raiden stared at the screen, jaw tight. This just became a galaxy-level problem. She turned to him, her voice trembling. What do we do now? Raiden looked at her, then at the stars outside. We run, he said. We hide, and while we do, you learn who you are. Sira felt something deep inside her stir. A memory, or maybe a voice. It whispered through her mind like wind. Through trees, you were born to be more, but you must choose what that means. She stepped closer to the window, staring at the stars as if searching for herself among them. Raiden watched her, no longer a slave, but something rising, not just a girl with a secret, not just a weapon, but a force. The galaxy had no idea what it had sold, and now it was too late to take it back. The bounty spread like fire across the galaxy. Smugglers whispered it in low voices, pirates shouted it while drinking, and bounty hunters, well, they didn't speak. They just locked onto the signal and started moving. Raiden had seen it before. 1 minute you were floating quietly. The next, a dozen ships were on your trail, all hungry for the same prize. But this time, the prize wasn't credits. This time, it was a girl, Sira, the girl with silver eyes and glowing hands, the girl who should have died, the girl who now carried power the galaxy had forgotten. Inside the ship, the lights were dim. Raiden moved quickly, setting manual shields, killing auto systems. "We're going dark," he said. "No signals, no traces." Sira stood behind him, her breath slow but heavy. She had seen her face on the bounty screen. She had seen the number, 3 million. It made her stomach twist. "That's how much I'm worth?" She asked, quietly. Raiden didn't answer. He didn't want to tell her the truth. No one had ever placed that kind of bounty for someone not dangerous. Not for someone ordinary. Not for someone they wanted alive. Sira went to the back of the ship. She looked into a cracked mirror, at her face. Her strange glowing marks. She didn't look like a killer. She looked like a scared girl in space. But deep inside her chest, something was waking. Memories, power, pain. Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed through the ship. Raiden rushed to the screen. One ship detected, approaching fast. He cursed it under his breath. "Too fast to be cargo," he muttered. "It's a hunter." Sira's eyes locked on the screen. A name appeared. Not the ship's, the pilot's. CYX-9, Raiden froze. "That's not a name," he said. "That's a number, a model. He's not just a bounty hunter. He's a cyborg, before." Sira could ask more. The ship shook. A direct hit. Warning lights flashed red. Another hit, then silence. The enemy ship didn't speak, didn't call. It just waited, like a predator that already knew it had won. Raiden turned to Sira. "We can't outrun him," he said. "We fight?" She asked. He nodded. "We survive." Raiden handed her a small device. It wrapped around her wrist, glowing blue. "A focus band," he explained. "It'll help control your energy if things get bad." Then he grabbed his plasma rifle. "Stay behind me," he said. The ship opened a hatch, and air roared through like a scream. Standing in the doorway was a figure in black armor. Tall, silent, half metal, half man. One red eye glowed, scanning. "Target acquired," the voice said. Metallic and cold, Sira's legs locked, fear gripping her spine. But Raiden stepped forward, gun raised. "Not today," he growled. He fired, blast after blast. The cyborg didn't flinch. He moved like steel in shadow. His fist slammed into Raiden's chest, throwing him into the wall. Sira screamed, running. To him, he was bleeding, but alive. "Run," he gasped. Sira shook her head. "No more running." She stood, hands shaking, heart racing. The cyborg stepped closer, reaching out. But before he could grab her, her wristband lit up, and her body began to glow. Blue light poured from her skin. Not fire, not heat. Pure energy. The cyborg paused, sensors confused. Then she lifted her hand and everything changed. The air cracked, the lights flickered. The walls bent slightly from the force, and with one scream, she released the power. The blast hit the cyborg like a storm. Metal ripped, wires sparked. He flew backward, crashing through the hull wall. Silence returned. Smoke filled the room. Sira fell to her knees, her breath broken. Raiden crawled toward her, pulling her into his arms. "You saved me," he whispered. She didn't reply. Her hands were burned, her eyes filled with fear. Not fear of the enemy, fear of herself. "I don't know what I am," she said, voice shaking. Raiden looked into her eyes. "You're not a monster," he said. "You're a storm they tried to hide, but it's too late now." Far away, across a frozen moon, a signal reached. A black tower, inside, a man in a red robe watched the data. He smiled coldly. "She awakened," he said. "We must reach her before she remembers everything." Back on the ship, Raiden stood. The hull was damaged, systems low, fuel draining. But they were alive, and now they had no choice but to face the truth. Sira was more than a lost girl. She was a weapon made of memory, a voice from a forgotten war, and the galaxy had just made her angry. The stars outside the ship were quiet, but inside, a storm was growing. Sira sat alone in the dark, her hands still bruised from the battle. The memory of the cyborg's crushed armor still echoed in her mind. She had done that. She had destroyed a bounty hunter with a wave of her hand. And it scared her. Raiden was silent too. He had bandaged his ribs and repaired the ship's systems, but there was something new in his eyes now. Respect mixed with worry. You can't run from what you are, he said that night. And you can't control it without training. Sira looked up, her voice flat. So teach me. Raiden shook his head. Not me, he said. I know weapons, not power, but I know someone who can help. He set the coordinates. A secret moon hidden in a red nebula. Not many knew of it, and even fewer survived a visit. But Raiden had one friend there, someone who owed him a life. When the ship landed, the place looked like a graveyard, dead. Trees, black skies, lightning in the distance. Sira stepped out, her boots sinking into ash. It felt like the world had burned long ago. Then a voice echoed from the shadows. You brought me trouble, Raiden. Out walked a woman, tall, scarred, dressed in black armor with a long blade on her back. Her eyes were sharp, glowing faint blue. Her name was Vex, a former general, now in exile. She looked at Sira and frowned. This is the girl with the bounty? Raiden nodded. She destroyed a cyborg with raw energy. Vex raised an eyebrow. Impressive, she said. But uncontrolled. Sira stood firm. I want to learn. Vex stepped closer, circling her. You want power, or do you want control? Both, Sira said without blinking. Vex smiled slightly. Good answer. Training began the next day. It was brutal. Sira was pushed, thrown, burned, and knocked down. Vex didn't show mercy. Again, she shouted as Sira fell to the ground. You hesitate, you die. Raiden watched from a distance, sometimes helping fix the damage, sometimes just observing. He knew this pain was necessary. Sira wasn't just learning to fight. She was building a new version of herself. Day after day, she got faster, stronger. She began to understand her energy, how it moved through her blood, how it spoke to her nerves. She didn't just blast anymore. She bent it, shaped it, aimed it. One night, Vex and Raiden sat around. A fire. She's learning fast, Vex said. She's learning angry, Raiden replied. Vex nodded. That's how rebellions start, unseen by them. Sira sat nearby, listening. Rebellion. The word rang in her bones. Was that what she was now? A spark waiting to burn the whole system down. The next day, Vex gave her a test. A hologram of Union soldiers surrounded her. Their faces were cold, their eyes full of judgment. Why were you sold? One of them asked. Because they were afraid, Sira replied. The holograms attacked. Sira moved like lightning, dodging, striking, spinning her energy into blades. She didn't run. She faced every single one. When it was over, she stood in the smoke, eyes glowing, chest rising with each breath. Vex clapped slowly. You're ready for more than just defense, she said. You're ready to lead. Raiden stepped forward. But leading means risk, he said. It means being hunted, being hated. Sira looked at both of them. They already hunt me, she said. Now I give them a reason to be afraid. That night, Raiden activated a secure beacon. A frequency only heard by outlaws, exiles, and rebels. The message was short. The Union lied. The lost bloodline lives. If you want freedom, follow the light. Across the galaxy, in hidden corners, the message reached ears that had been waiting for a sign. Aliens in chains, humans in hiding, machines with memories. They all heard the same voice. And they all whispered one name, Sira. Asterisk. The stars watched in silence. But down below, something had begun to stir. Not a war, not yet. Just a whisper, a spark, a name, Sira. Across moons, junkyard colonies, and hidden asteroid stations, people were talking. She's real, they said. The girl who burned a bounty hunter. The girl who carries lost blood. The one who fought back. The message Raiden sent had done more than call for help. It had woken those who had forgotten how to hope. And in the shadows, A rebellion began to breathe again on the training moon. Sira stood at the edge of a cliff. Her eyes stared into the storm-filled sky. Lightning cracked in the distance, but her mind was louder than the thunder. "They're coming," she said. Raiden nodded beside her. Vex stood behind them, arms crossed. "We'll be ready," she said, but none of them truly were. 3 ships landed the next day, old rusty, marked with rebellion flags. From them came fighters, smugglers, deserters, and survivors. Some were human, some alien, all of them broken, but all of them angry. Sira stepped forward, unsure. They looked at her like she was a legend, but she didn't feel like one. She felt the weight of it all pressing on her chest. "I'm not a leader," she whispered to Raiden. He looked at her gently. "No leader starts as one. You became one the moment they followed your name." So Sira stood tall, and she spoke. "My name was almost erased," she said. "I was sold, caged, forgotten. They called me broken, dangerous, unwanted. But now I know what I am. I am a reminder. That power doesn't belong to governments. That bloodlines don't decide who gets to live free. I'm not asking you to fight for me. I'm asking you to fight for yourselves." The crowd listened in silence. Then, one by one, they raised their fists. A roar echoed across the moon, and the rebellion was no longer a whisper. It was a scream. They trained for days. Vex drilled them hard. Raiden taught them tactics, Sira. Help the weak, guiding, lifting, building. They weren't soldiers, but they had something stronger. They had nothing left to lose. In the quiet hours, Sira walked alone through the base. Memory still haunted her, the pod she had been trapped in, the flashes of fire, the screams, and a face, one she couldn't name, until the day he arrived. It was evening when a new ship landed. Sira walked to the dock, heart calm. But as the door opened, she stopped breathing. He stepped out, tall, dark cloak, eyes like mirrors. And when he spoke, the world tilted. "Hello, sister." Sira's hands shook. The face from her dreams was real. The face she had forgotten, not because of time, but because someone had made her forget. "Ziren," she said. Her brother, alive, Raiden and Vex ran to her side, weapons ready, but Ziren raised a hand. "I didn't come to fight," he said. "I came to bring her home." Sira stared at him. "You helped them sell me." Ziren didn't deny it. "I had no choice," he said. "I made a deal to save our people. They're gone." She replied coldly. "Because of you." Ziren stepped closer. "Not all," he whispered. "There are more like us hidden, and they'll die if you start this war." The rebels behind her began to shout, weapons raised, fear rising. Raiden stepped forward. "Back off," he growled. But Sira raised her hand, stopping them. She looked into Ziren's eyes, and for a moment, she saw the boy she once knew. The brother who protected her, who told her stories under the stars. But that boy was gone. This man was a shadow. A man twisted by fear, by survival, by compromise. "You're too late," she said. "The war already started the moment they put a price on me." Ziren's expression fell. "I didn't come to fight you," he said, "but if you choose rebellion, I will be forced to stand against you." Sira stepped forward, her voice steady. "Then you better pray your army is stronger than my will." As Ziren turned and left, the night felt heavier. A storm was coming. Not in the sky, but in their hearts. And now Sira knew this fight wasn't just about freedom. It was about legacy. And the one person she still loved might become her greatest enemy. The stars had never looked so still, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Above Earth's orbit, the darkness was broken by a fleet of warships, dozens of Union destroyers. Silent and waiting, in front of them, like a scar in space, floated the Nomad Hawk, a single rebel ship, smaller than a tenth of the fleet. Inside it, Sira stood in silence. Her fingers wrapped around the edge of the table, eyes locked on the screen. Ziren's face appeared, cold and calm. "This is your last chance," he said. "Turn yourself in, and your rebels walk free." Sira didn't blink, she remembered. His voice when it used to tell her bedtime stories. Now that voice sounded like a machine. She replied slowly, "This was never about me." Ziren's jaw tightened. "You don't understand what you're risking." "No," she said. "You don't understand what you've become." Raiden stepped beside her, armored and ready. "We're outnumbered, outgunned and surrounded," he said. Sira looked at him with fire in her eyes. "Perfect," she replied. "They'll never see us coming." Behind them, the rebel ships began to form, one by one, out of warp drives and hidden moons. Old fighters, stolen crafts, pirate ships. Converted cargo carriers, not much, but enough to make a mark. Vex stood at the war table smirking. "I always did like impossible odds," she said. The rebels cheered. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about making history, Sira. "Walk to the center of the room," she raised her voice. "They tried to erase me. They called me worthless. Dangerous, broken. But we are not broken. We are the spark. We are the storm they tried to silence. And today, we take it all back." The fleet moved. Explosions burst like stars blinking out. The Nomad Hawk dodged between. Cruisers, weaving like a shadow. Raiden piloted like a madman, hands flying over the controls. Sira stood in the drop bay, eyes closed, breathing slow. Energy swirled around her like wind in water. The others fought with weapons. She fought with something older, deeper. A part of herself that no one had trained, only awakened. The ship shook, then the hatch opened, and Sira stepped into the void. She didn't fall, she flew. Her body burned with light as she moved through the battlefield. Laser blasts bounced off her shield. Enemy drones melted under her touch. She was no longer running, no longer afraid. She had become what they feared. Inside the lead Union ship Ziren watched. He gave the order, "Bring her in alive." But nothing could stop her now. Sira reached the command deck. She tore the doors apart without touching them. Ziren stood waiting. Behind him, soldiers aimed their weapons. She stepped forward. "Let them try," she said. Ziren raised his hand, and the soldiers dropped their weapons, afraid. "It was never supposed to be like this," Ziren said. "You were supposed to save us, not burn everything down." Sira shook her head. "You wanted peace through silence. I want peace through truth." Ziren stepped closer, his hand glowing with the same power. "You're not the only one who inherited the blood. I've had it longer. I've learned to use it." He attacked. The room shook with energy. Blue and red clashed like lightning, brother and sister. Fire against fire. Walls cracked, metal screened. The air filled with light too bright to see. And then silence. Ziren lay on the floor, breathing hard. Sira stood above him, tears in her eyes. "I didn't want this," she said. He looked up, coughing. "Then why are you winning?" Sira reached down, offered him her hand. "I don't want to destroy you," she said. "I want to remind you who you were." Ziren stared at her hand for a long moment. Then he took it. The Union ships received the signal minutes later. Ceasefire ordered by High Commander Ziren. "Stand down." The battle ended. But something far greater had begun. In the weeks that followed, the truth spread like fire. Sira's face appeared on screens across systems. Not as a fugitive, not as a slave, but as a leader. The rebellion became a movement, and the name Sira became a symbol, not of war, but of awakening. She had been sold for nothing, forgotten, buried, erased, but in the end, she became everything.